Here we go, College Football Payoff Podcast. We are in week 10?
Week 10.
Week 10, episode.
Which is ridiculous. Episode 29.
29. Yeah, it is ridiculous. It's been flying by.
Yeah.
I'm Dan.
We're having fun, though. I'm Big Country.
That's Big Country. I'm Dan. Last week was crazy. Probably one of the worst beats of all time you'll ever see was that Florida State-Clemson game.
Yeah.
I know you had the under, I believe.
Yeah, not on the pod, but
no, off the pod.
On
yeah,
my personal
you had
card,
the under, and I had Florida State with the points.
Yeah, I was down in Nashville at the bar watching that game live, and it was man, it gave me a reason to drink more. So
yeah.
it was.
I was sitting in my living room and almost put a hole through the wall.
Yeah, those are tough ones, especially man. The ball, they caught that ball like around the 50-yard line, and.
They just threw it backwards twice. Like the first time you threw it backwards when the quarterback couldn't get it, you figure, all right, just fall on it, just end the game. And the second time they threw it, I think that receiver got hurt too for Florida State.
Yeah.
Looked pretty nasty.
But man.
That's what happens. So, all right, let's talk about our cards last week. I had a 1-2 week. Georgia, 14.5 was my winner. Losses came with Kentucky -1.5, Iowa +3.5. Those both lost outright, so that puts me at 13-15 on the year. Big Country 1-1 last week.
Yeah, I had the Minnesota covering against Northwestern. That was really never a doubt. That was my favorite. I mean, even though we went 1-1, 2 and 3 as a pod, I know I'm still reading the boards correctly because that was by far the most confident pick I had last week. When anybody came to me like, who do you love this week? That's the pick I gave. I loved it, and it covered pretty well. Lost with the Ohio State -18.5. Man, I didn't know Sean Clifford was going to be recovered that much.
We made him look like he was recovered a lot more.
And Stroud missed Olave on that fourth and goal or fourth down by the end zone.
Couldn't run the ball.
I mean, the little plays like that. I mean, I don't think Penn State covered that game. I think Ohio State let them. I mean, I don't know. They shouldn't have been able to keep up with them like that. Kind of worries me for my +700 Ohio State National Championship ticket.
Well, the college football playoff rankings did come out.
They're getting in. Ohio State's getting in.
So the way that I saw it, with it being Georgia, Bama, Michigan State, Oregon.
Right.
And, of course, Cincinnati drops out, which everyone's pissed off about, but it's the right thing to do because...
I still want them to make it.
Yeah, well, obviously. But the committee, what that tells me is they're going to take the SEC champion, the Big Ten champion, the SEC runner-up.
No matter what, even if Alabama loses.
Yeah. And then if Oregon stays at one loss, they'll take Oregon. If not...
Oklahoma stays undefeated, they'll take them.
Yeah.
All before Cincy.
That's what it's telling me.
I think Oregon will take care of themselves. They'll lose or lose in the Pac-12 championship. I think Oklahoma potentially might lose in the Big 12 championship.
Yeah.
I think Cincy still has a pretty decent shot of getting in. It's just if the committee allows them. But man, their defense is
rough,
awesome.
Man.
So
okay, and back with the Ohio State thing, I just want to touch on this because you see it in the NFL now too, and I hate to be the person because being a Browns and a Buckeyes fan, once you start talking about the refs, it's kind of like the thing. Everyone says, oh, Cleveland complains about the refs. Have the refs been – I think the refs all around college and NFL this year have been absolutely horrendous.
I mean, they really like turning it into a ref show.
I've
had a couple first half lines blow it because the refs wanted to make about themselves instead of like letting the black guys play. So
yeah, so all right, getting back to it. Yeah, real quick though, podcast is at 33-23, and Big Country is on a 17-4 run.
Boom.
Seeing the board a little better this week?
Yeah, I actually have 4 picks this week.
Ooh, okay. So. All right, well, seeing as you have 4, why don't you get us started then?
All right, for my first pick of the week, I am going to go to Indiana, not Indiana University. We're looking at Purdue.
Ooh, okay.
The Purdue Boilermakers are hosting number 3 in the country, Michigan State, this week. And on the surface, when you look at a Michigan State -3 ticket against a team like Purdue, you're going to obviously want to go towards that really, really easily. And that's what's steering me in the complete opposite direction. So I don't believe in Purdue to actually cover this game, this 3 points, but what they're telling me, I feel, is that this game's going to go under. Purdue has done really well at holding teams to like low scores this year. Plus, Michigan State, through all their games, even you can see last week, relies heavily on an explosive play offense. So they're not putting together too many crazy drives. Your 10, 12 play drives that take up 9 minutes in the game. They're busting off like 40-yard, 60-yard runs with Walker. But I see Purdue here as a defense that can stop that, and a defense that has all the tools to combat that. They only allow 313 yards a game. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, they're not special at all. So what I do think they'll do here in this game is I think Purdue is going to stop them on defense, maybe allow 1 or 2 touchdowns, but I think they're going to run the ball a lot this game. And they need to do that to combat the explosive offense of Michigan State. Like I said, I think Walker, is he in the lead for Heisman right now? He scored 5 touchdowns last week.
Yeah, after last week, for sure he is.
And Michigan State's in a huge letdown spot here, too. So we can't, coming off the big rivalry game, their energy is going to be a lot lower than it was last week. And they have to go on the road. And Purdue, we know, man, they pull off one of these weird upset games every year. Yeah, it was already Iowa this year that they beat, but in hindsight, maybe Iowa's offense just really isn't that good at all, which I believe so. So I'm gonna have to go here with the under, and I think that number right now is sitting at 54. So yeah, chalk me in for Michigan State Purdue under 54.
Yeah, Purdue always scares me when they get into these top 10 matchups.
They're only allowing 17 points per game this week. They're just off of a Nebraska win. Yeah, I mean, Wisconsin did put up 30 on them, but it seems like they're finally starting to wake up.
Yeah.
So.
Nice. All right.
And let me just say, 4 out of Purdue's last 5 games have gone under this number. Actually, let me read this closer. Oh, no. 5 out of 5. The last 5 games Purdue has played has gone under 54.
Jeez.
So that's where I'm looking this week.
All right. Beauty. Okay, I am going to start with Georgia against Missouri. And this game is a noon kick in Georgia. And the total right now is set at, 59.5? 58.5. The line is Georgia minus 38. I'm going to go with the over in this. Mainly because that line, 38 points, is a lot of points. Although I think, it's very possible Georgia can do that. I just want help from Missouri here. Missouri is 0-8 against the spread this year, but I feel like in these games, Georgia's defense is huge, and they get the first college football ranking out. I think Georgia can jump out to a big lead early, and then Georgia kind of, takes it easy on defense, and you get some garbage time points because Missouri's offense is not that bad. 28th in the country in points scored. They're averaging 34, close to 35 a game. They're pretty well balanced, better at passing just by a little bit. And Georgia's offense is pretty damn good too. They're actually going up against a pretty crappy defense in Missouri. They're like dead last, I think, in rushing and close to last in points scored. But I think for this game, I'm looking at trends and I'm looking at previous games for both teams. So in the last 5 meetings between the two schools, over is 4-1. The over is 4-0 in Missouri's last 4 road games. It's 4-0 in Georgia's last 4 November games. And then looking back at games that, recent games for both teams, you got Georgia, scoring close to 40 points a game. I think with that, you're going to have Missouri, they might score a touchdown here and there in the first half. And then later on in the game, defense kind of takes it easy. They put in some second stringers for Georgia,
right.
And Missouri's able to run into at least 1, maybe 2 more touchdowns, which I think gives me the over.
Yeah,
So
I think they can get 17 to 21. I think Georgia's going to get up so. I think they're going to be up huge at halftime here. So now that I think about it, especially the Missouri team that's trending down big time. They could have 38 to 45 points at half.
Yeah, that's your spread is 38. So but when a team's up by that much at half, I tend to think that all right, you're going to have some garbage time.
You're going to have some garbage time, but you are going to need Missouri to score a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling confident with Georgia, Missouri, the over 58.5 in this one.
Nice. All right. Seems like the last couple weeks, all I've done is take these Big Ten games, but this is my last one. I swear I got 2 more picks after this, but we're going to go back to the Big Ten, and we're going to go back to a location that we bet last week, Northwestern. So Northwestern's hosting Iowa this week, and there are 3 horrendous units on the field. That is the both sides of the ball for Northwestern and Iowa's offense, and there is an elite unit on the field with Iowa's defense who struggled last week. But we all know Iowa's offense is in trouble, and they've been bailed out a lot by their defense this whole year. They've dropped from number 2 to ranked number 22 in the country. 2 straight losses for both teams, actually. But in only 7 points per game the last 2 games and the last 2 losses. I think the offense will bounce back a little bit here. But, man, Northwestern's offense is outgaining Iowa's offense per game now. Iowa has a horrendous 291.5 yards of offensive production per game through 8 games this year. And, Spencer Petras at the back is just not the solution, and I don't see it getting any better this year. One thing we do know that we touched on last week, the Northwestern Wildcats' run defense is absolutely atrocious as they're giving up 230 yards per game on the ground this year. I think that Iowa's just going to bully them, not the way Minnesota did, but I think they're just going to definitely run the ball, attack them on the ground game. And I don't think Northwestern will be able to catch up through the air because Helinski, their quarterback, only has 764 yards passing this year. Has not been too good. I actually don't know if they benched him or not. Let me check that. But regardless, Evan Hall, their running back, they're probably going to rely on him most of the game as he has 750 yards rushing this year. I just see this as a total run fest, and I see this as Iowa being able to cover themselves on defense, but I don't like the 12 points. So, man, this could very well end up a 17-3 game, 17-10 game, 17-9, something around there. So I will take the under 40.5 for Iowa Northwestern. The only way I think this gets out of hand is if Northwestern starts throwing picks similar to the Maryland-Iowa game earlier this year where they put up 51 points. But when you have great field position off of 5 or 6 turnovers, that's going to happen.
Yep.
So we just need Northwestern to protect the ball. I don't think they'll score. Let's go under 40.5.
Sounds good. Yeah. Unders with Iowa, always a popular pick in my opinion, but let's stick with the Big Ten then. All right, we're going to go Ohio State at Nebraska, noon kickoff. Ohio State is 14.5-point favorites, and I am taking Ohio State minus 14.5. Reason being, the Buckeyes have the number 1 offense in the country. They rank first in total yards. They're close to 550 a game. First in points scored, 47 points a game. And Nebraska has Scott Frost and Adrian Martinez. Right there, I mean, Adrian Martinez is a 10th-year quarterback for college football, and he still looks lost. Like we said, Scott Frost is known for blowing covers left and right, just blowing games all over the place. Yeah, it is in Lincoln, but I think they might be high for the first series, and then after that,
once they quiet the crowd, it's gonna.
And the way the Buckeyes offense performed last week, a lot of missed opportunities. You could tell at half Ryan Day was pretty pissed off when they interviewed him, and from what we can tell from Ryan Day, I think he has put a lot of focus this week into scoring points, and they're that 5th team on the college football playoff, so they're looking to make statements. I think this is a great spot for them to make that statement. Their defense was turning a corner until they hit Penn State, but they're still taking the ball away.
Yeah,
right?
I still think they are.
They're still forcing turnovers, and Nebraska loves to turn the ball over. With this, you look at past matchups with Ohio State and Nebraska. Buckeyes are 6-1 against the spread, and the favorite's 5-1 in the last 6 meetings. So trends are pointing towards the Buckeyes cover here. And then if we look at prior games for both teams, the Buckeyes, apart from last week, they only scored 33, but up until that point, their last 5 games were all over 40 points, with 4 of those games being over 50 points. That's them scoring, by the way.
Yeah.
And in those games, they were giving up, less than 20 points a game. And when I look at Nebraska's lines, all season, the entire season, they have scored more than 30 points twice. The first one was against Northwestern, which we know Northwestern's trending down. The second one was against Fordham. So that's an FCS school. And I just think that their offense isn't quite there. I think Adrian Martinez isn't it. And Travion Henderson for the Buckeyes had a bad game last week. Well, I wouldn't say bad, but for his standards, he wasn't as dominant as he always is. I think this week Ryan Day is going to really put a beating on Nebraska. 14.5 seems like a little bit low number for me.
That's what I'm worried about, is that it seems too low. But I wonder if
I think it's just because it's at home.
Yeah,
it's at home for Nebraska.
Home for Nebraska.
Yeah, and the way they looked and the way the Buckeyes looked last week.
And they handed it to Nebraska last year, right? Yeah, first COVID game back.
Yeah.
Man, on top of that, did you see Ryan Day's face when Stroud missed Olave on that 4th and goal, or right on the goal line there? I was man.
He wears his emotions.
That was tough. Yeah, he hides nothing.
I mean, I think that Ryan Day comes out with a hell of a game plan this week, and Buckeyes minus 14.5 seems easy for me.
And just remember, this is another added bonus. The Buckeyes are 6th in the CFP rankings. 5. Yeah, they know that they're going to have to put in some work to get back up there, especially if they want to have the chance to jump Oregon.
Yeah, because you don't want to be that 4th team.
You really don't want to be. So I think they're going to try to make statements for the rest of the year.
Yeah, so 14.5 Ohio State. That's my pick.
All right, for my third pick, we're going to go with the Pitt Panthers minus 21 to bounce back this week.
Yep.
Yeah. Saw last week's game. It was actually a really great game, a great shootout. Pitt lost that game because their biggest weakness on defense is explosive plays, and Miami with Van Dyke definitely exposed that weakness. So I think they bounce back, especially under a Narduzzi defense. And I'm not a big fan of Narduzzi as a coach, but I am a huge fan of this Kenny Pickett at quarterback. And I still think his Heisman hopes are alive. RG3 won it back in the day without being on an elite team, but these Kenny Pickett numbers are the definition of elite this year. 2,755 yards, 26 touchdowns, 3 picks. That's all. And on the other side of the ball, or on the other side of the field, Duke really seems like they've checked out. They've lost 4 straight after beating Kansas, after struggling to beat Kansas. And over that 4-game span, they have only scored 41 points. So they're averaging about 10.25 points per game over the last 4. Got blown out by Wake, got blown out by Virginia, who really doesn't have that great of a defense at all. And then they lost a close one to Georgia Tech. But, man, I just think David Cutcliffe is at the end of his tenure at Duke as Duke's head coach. I think the players there have given up on him. Man, they're almost giving up 400 or almost 500 yards a game. And then I think Kenny Pickett is going to have another career day with his top target, Jordan Addison, the sophomore. He has 815 yards and 10 touchdowns. So this kid's averaging over 100 yards receiving per game. And that's going to be perfect against a Duke Blue Devils defense who is giving up close to 300 yards through the air per game over 8 games this year. So, yeah, I think Pitt bounces back. They're not playing for a necessary national championship or any type of conference championship berth this year, but Kenny could still win the Heisman, and that would be huge for the university. Give me Pitt minus 21.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and it's one that I'll take off the card for sure, off the podcast card. Okay, so I've talked about the best defense in the country with Georgia. the best offense in the country with Ohio State. Now this team is probably the second best defensive team in the country, and pretty close, but I wouldn't say, they're top 10 in offense, and that's Cincinnati.
Nice.
So we got Tulsa versus Cincinnati. The spread in this, I think the last I checked was 24. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
I'm looking at a 22.5.
22.5, that's even better. Cincinnati minus 22.5 is what we are going to play here. Reason being, Cincinnati is pissed off right now.
Yeah.
They feel that they've been blackballed, and it's because of their schedule. It's because they have to play Tulsa. Tulsa is a very bad team. Tulsa is they're not going to be able to keep up with Cincinnati's offense, and they're not going to be able to keep up with their defense either. Right? Tulsa, 98th in points scored. Cincinnati is second in defensive points allowed.
Yeah, I don't care what anybody says. Cincinnati's defense is elite.
They're good.
They're very
very good. They're probably the second best defense in the country. They're only giving up 15 points a game. Desmond Ridder, I'd like to see him still in the Heisman race, but it's just...
Especially since I have a 33-1 ticket on
Yeah,
him.
definitely. But it's just so tough with the teams he plays, and especially last week they kind of laid... I mean, they didn't lose, but they didn't perform as they should have.
Right. I mean, so they won by 19, but...
I think the spread was like...
The spread was 20-something, in the 20s.
And when you're not covering, it's going to be tough for the committee. But I think Cincinnati is just so pissed off in this game that they're going to want to absolutely destroy a team to kind of say, hey, you guys made a mistake. We should be up with those top four. Speaking of... Ooh, wrong page. Sorry about that. But going back to it, Cincinnati's defense, I can't look away. They're so elite, and Tulsa's defense is probably the opposite side of the spectrum. They give up 30 points a game. Cincinnati's scoring 40 points a game. Tulsa's scoring 25 a game, but Cincinnati's giving up 14 a game. I think it's almost too easy, but Cincinnati is going to blow Tulsa out of the water this week. Who do they have looking ahead? I just want to see the schedule going forward. Not necessarily for Tulsa. No one really cares about Tulsa. But they got USF, SMU, and ECU. So SMU is probably a big game for them, but they gotta perform if they want to be in that college football playoff conversation. I just think they're pissed off, and I think that's going to fuel them this week against a pretty bad Tulsa team. Cincinnati minus 22.5. That's what I got.
Yeah, and I'm going to take that too.
Yep, there's your fourth pick.
We've agreed on one pick this year. It hit.
Yeah.
Now we're going to agree on two. Hopefully we don't experience any regression. But, man, Desmond Ridder, at the end of the day, man, 18-4 touchdown interception ratio.
Yeah.
That's... Man, you figure that more people would be talking about that. He's already on his way to pass all of his touchdown totals. His most touchdowns he's thrown for in his career was 2018, and those 20 touchdowns. He's got games left, and he's already at 18. I think he's actually having a very sneaky good season. Mm-hmm. I still want to see him go up there, but Cincinnati, he's really going to have to have a Heisman moment to get back on the radar. And then, like we said, Cincinnati's defense, elite, allowing less than 300 yards per game this year. And a lot of that is in their secondary because they're only allowing 155 yards through the air per game this year. And that's if you can do that, you're going to win games.
Yeah.
On top of that, Tulsa is not good. They are not good, but there's in the betting world, not necessarily in the betting world, but I guess in the public's mind, the one game Tulsa from this year is when they played Ohio State. So people are still referring to that game where they lose like 41-20, lost by 3 touchdowns. Yeah. Since then, they beat an Arkansas State by only 7 points. Arkansas State gets up like 600 yards a game. They got blown out by Houston. They barely beat a bad Memphis team. They beat a terrible USF team by 1. They lost to Navy last week. So, I mean, I think there's still a mirage around this team that people are under the impression that they're good. I think Cincinnati takes advantage of how bad they are, and with the extra motivation they need, they're going to blow them out. And Luke Fickell knows what he needs to do. So you can mark me up also for Cincinnati minus 22.5.
Love it. We're 1-0 on those. Looking to be 2-0.
Yes.
I think I'm very confident with that. All right. My last pick is the Moneyline Moneymaker, and I am going to put you through a little exercise here. and see what you say. All right, we got Team A against Team B. You ready? Listen closely. Team A's offense, 5th in the nation in points scored. Team B's defense, 100th in points allowed. Okay? Team A's defense, 55th in points scored. Team B's offense, 22 in points scored.
Have to go with Team B.
Right there?
Yeah.
Okay. Team A beat Florida State 35-14.
Okay.
We know what Florida State is, right?
Yeah.
Team B lost to Florida State 25-35.
Oh, shit. Now you're leading me down the road. What do I think now? Tell me the game.
Wake Forest against UNC.
Oh, do we really think? Oh, man.
UNC is favored by 2.5 here.
I just feel like that's bait. I just feel like
I'm taking the bait.
I mean, like,
Wake Forest is undefeated. They're in a conference that they can they can win.
They have a chance to win something this year. I don't think they're going to let it go.
They have a chance to win their conference.
Their defense is exposable.
It's
Man,
very
when Army
exposable.
puts 56 points up on you, that is scary. But you never know what North Carolina team you're going to get week to week.
Listen, Wake's defense, you say they are,
on the ground for sure.
For sure. Yeah, but UNC is giving up 30 points a game. Wake Forest is scoring 43 points a game.
Yeah, their defense is just so bad.
I know,
Dude, it's
but
just so bad.
I just think there's no respect to a top 10 team right now.
Yeah.
A team that's undefeated that could win the ACC for the first time in so long, that Clemson isn't blowing everyone out of the water anymore. I'm taking Wake Forest to win this game outright. That's the money line. I mean, yeah, it could be bait, but I'm taking the bait. Wake Forest plus 115 is what I got.
Dude, I might have to take the over in that. I don't not on the pod. Don't take that as a pod pick, but man, Wake Forest over seemed to be where it's at. So.
I mean, what is the total? 76.5?
Yeah, but I mean, we know North Carolina's going to score.
And you know that Wake can score.
Yeah. So
both defenses, yeah, there you go. But I'm taking the game. I'm taking the Wake Forest.
You take Wake Forest
money
away.
Line. Yep.
Noon game. Okay.
Yeah. All right. That's it.
All right.
Let's go over the cards real quick. I got 3 plus the money line, so I got Ohio State minus 14.5, Georgia over 58.5, and then Cincinnati minus 22.5. That is I don't know what we're calling it. We got to brainstorm that, but that is a union pick with Pitt Country, and then money line is Wake Forest.
We got to figure out a name for that. It doesn't happen too often. All right. Okay, big country card for Week 10 college football. I'm going to go with Michigan State, Purdue, under 54. I'm going to go with Iowa, Northwestern, under 40.5. I'm going to go with Pitt, minus 21, and I'm going to go with Cincy, minus 22.5.
There we go. All right, be sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. We are wherever you get your podcasts. You want to give them the socials.
Yeah, find me at Big Country Bets on Twitter. Find Dan at Accountant Bets.
And I also have I got it. My other.
For your personal.
I'm going to be doing the personal.
Eventually.
It's gonna be in the comment section when we put the video.
We'll ease into it because once we start getting more listeners here, which our numbers have been going up lately. We'll. I mean, I won't be revealing my identity, but I think.
Yeah, I'm already out there.
You're already out there. Care. So, all right, man. Yeah, I'm 20-8 on the season. Let's get.
I'm really confident.
The podcast Twitter is at CFP_pod now. So just remember that if you want to catch us on Twitter, just throw us a tweet, say something to us, we'll tweet back.
We have nothing else to do.
But yeah, we have nothing else except to gamble on these games and keep it going. So I'm still in my Survivor League in NFL.
So, you want to talk Survivor? Go, yeah.
I don't know who I'm picking this week. So if you guys have any Survivor picks, put them in the comments or shoot us a tweet or something.
If you have a game out there that you think is a 100% lock, let us know.
Yes.
Let
us know.
We want to know what you guys think, and share it with your friends. Want to get out there and help everyone. But that's all I got. You got anything else?
No, I'm done.
All right, good. That's Big Country. I'm Dan. We will see you next week.